we can choose to surrender to the mainstream media narrative that fall and winter are the months of that quiet comfort, sleepiness, of immobility, cozy blankets, and warm foods. We have associations with Hollywood movies that portray some romantic stories unfolding in all those gray, rainy, and snowy cold days. And for some, perhaps not totally unbased reason, this visual media messaging is being really aggressively pushed on people through pop culture and entertainment. In that scenario, however, we surrender to something that is artificially designed for us. We tend to give in to the superficial narrative and give up on our own goals and aspirations that we usually develop and aspire to achieve when our energy levels are naturally high. Of course, I would speculate that a huge contributor to this mass depletion of energy, all this moody background of cold season, may be just a consequence of vitamin D deficiency that causes seasonal affective disorder and depression that has been propagated through the generations. However, we are not the people to simply choose that and settle for it. And another reason to not choose to settle for it is to remember that this commonplace, degrading narrative usually continues later on with propaganda of trying to obsessively lose weight for a summer season again, or with dealing with the aftermath of binge eating junk food during the holiday season. In contrast, I believe in owning, in cultivating, in generating our own energy and having our own plan, our own values, goals, and vision for life, because regardless of the external circumstances, our state of mind, our energy, our focus, and importantly, our actions are the only things that we can control to actually ensure that we achieve something desirable in our life, that we have satisfactory results, to ensure our effective self-realization, and most importantly, to feel that we actually live our own life. We actually must control those aspects. We must control our energy, our focus, and our actions. And so this leads me to formulating the first big idea of this video. Analyze why would we choose to obey some seasonal narrative when we have an uninterrupted flow of our own life, our own beautiful life in reality, to create and to experience, to enjoy it. Why should our life, our values, our choices and plans be paused just because there is some existing seasonal narrative that is artificially designed to fulfill the masses? Now, on the other hand, physically speaking, raw foods will actually not cool you off unless you're eating them straight from the freezer, from the fridge. In reality, if you consume foods that are room temperature, that are sitting on the countertop, and then you also chew them, bringing them to your body temperature in your mouth, raw foods will not cool you off physically. In contrary, they will save you energy that you would otherwise spend in surplus digesting foods that were cooked, especially if we're talking about foods that are starchy, gluey, that have some unfavorable, some challenging food combinations. Another thing, if you actually feel significantly warmed up after consuming cooked foods, it is likely that you are consuming them when they're too hot to safely enjoy them, because too hot foods can lead to burns of the tongue, throat, and esophagus, which is a pretty harmful thing. And the thermal effect literally lasts for minutes. Your body effectively dissipates this heat, leaving you with less energy than you would have if you were to eat raw foods. And at the same time, if you chose to skip on some potent raw meal and chose cooked food, this means literally that you missed out on getting some long-term benefits from that raw meal. Prioritizing some short-term, I don't know if it can be even called a fulfillment. And here remember that the moment you decided to fill up on something not so good, at the same moment you lost an opportunity to fill up on something good and very beneficial for you. And in this circumstance, you not only skipped the opportunity of getting all the benefits from that something good, you also exhausted your body's resources to cope with the consequences of eating some processed comfort foods. So the delta between those is pretty high. Of course, once in a while, it is an okay thing to do. I'm all against making what you eat your entire identity. However, if choosing foods that are not so good over foods that you know give you long-lasting benefits, and raw foods have those for sure, and many people actually benefit from eating raw diet. In that case, when this choice, this unfavorable choice becomes a pattern, this is when you start depleting body's resources. This is when you set up for nutritional deficiencies and setting up your body for developing inflammation. And those are the last things you want during the winter season when other people become breeding ground for all sorts of things. So the idea number 2 is to acknowledge if you really benefit from eating cooked foods. To identify if you are clinging onto a stereotype or if it's something that you truly need. Figure this out. And then why would we choose a discolored, wilted, all this brownish beige stew with destroyed vital vitamins over this bright, juicy, colorful, fresh, vitamin-rich, invigorating, full of energy, flavorful, and colorful palette of raw foods? Is it really an intuitive, honest choice? Or is it again some stereotype? Perhaps something like childhood memories of anticipation of winter holidays, of some comfortable, cheerful family time. Maybe all those memories play a joke on you that you associate all those foods with winter. And another important thing that's like a very good question, and not just regarding the raw foods, but everything in life. Many people say that they want to eat raw foods. They declare, I want to eat raw foods. So if you want to eat raw foods and you have, let's say, all means to do that, why do you not do so? Answer this question as well. You want to eat raw foods. Why don't you eat raw foods? Honestly, answer this question. And now that we've discussed some possible underlying reasons for why there is even a question on how to stay raw during winter season, for me it never was literally a question. I want it to be raw. I don't care which season it is around. But there are possible reasons for this question to arise to begin with. Now that we've figured out those underlying reasons, let's now figure out how to actually be raw without a struggle. And I prepared a list of tips. So the tip number 1 is make sure that you have all seasonal fruits, vegetables at home at all times. Fill your pantry, fill your countertops with seasonal fruits. And also keep in mind that citrus season will last almost throughout the entire winter. Tip number 2. Perhaps upgrade your interior, maybe stoneware, your kitchen, some textiles, in order to bring some more associations with what summery, sunny season is for you. Maybe print out some beautiful photographs from your travels or some capturing some moments that are dear to your heart or some beautiful pictures and hang them around. Create the environment that welcomes the bright and active and lively atmosphere. Tip number 3 is very important. clean and declutter your apartment. Make sure to avoid stagnation, move things around, avoid stagnant, heavy, pressing energy. Make sure to daily, maybe several times, to open your windows and let fresh air ventilate your entire apartment. Number 4, plan a cleansing session for yourself as well. It may be just a single weekend during which you purposefully eat only the fruits and do it as a meditation, setting up the intention of welcoming and inviting the energy, this uplifted energy, into your life. Make sure during those practices to also set an intention to detach from this media pre-programmed associations with what winter season is, because you can create it in whatever form you wish. It's all parasitic patterns. Number 5, sit down and clean up your to-do list. Remove all things that you have been procrastinating. Give a call to the bank. Deal with whatever bureaucracy has been lingering in your life. Accomplish certain projects at work. Make sure to put an end to everything that has been passively draining your energy on the background. This is another very important thing. Number 6, after that, acknowledge what your personal goals, objectives of all your actions are, and start executing on them. Make a plan and start performing, take some steps that would be bringing you closer to your goals. When you are on the path of achieving something that is valuable for you, your life will become very exciting and fulfilling, so all the events on the background will literally be background events, some decorations for your life. Number 7 is very important and very obvious. Move as much as possible. If you work from the office, ask your management to give you standing desk. That way you will liberate your legs to move a little bit. This is really important. Then when at home, make sure to do things as much as possible, moving, do some small cleanups, go for walks. Spend at least 1.5 hours a day actively moving outdoors. If you feel chilly, you can do something as simple as a phys ed warm-up. It will be 1,000 times more effective and much more useful and much more healthful than consuming some hot foods. Then number 8 is design a plan of exciting outdoors activities. They can be skiing, skating, sledding, running, jumping, climbing, doing snowball fights with friends, just walking, going sightseeing. So many things to do. Life doesn't stop in winter. It opens up different possibilities. Number 9 is not so obvious tip. Don't give in to the cold with your body language. Because if cold makes you shrink instead of standing straight up, with good posture, then you will feel defeated. It will cause you to have spasms, weakness. Again, this self-perception of being defeated by the environment. Avoid that. If you feel like your clothes outdoors are not sufficient, layer up. It's not a problem. But make sure that your body is upright with good posture, because our body can actually influence our behavioral patterns. Then, number 10, in cooking, you can of course aid yourself by creating some thermal effects by adding chili to your food. Number 11, very obvious one, avoid consuming foods that come straight out of the fridge or the freezer. Let them warm up to the room temperature. And the last tip, number 12, drink warm herbal teas if nothing else works to warm you up in winter. But make sure that they're not too hot. So here is my list and my recommendations. In summary, I would like to tell you that you are an architect, a designer of your life. You decide how you will feel, what you will project, what you will achieve today. And the more you take control over your life, bypassing some patterns that you learned from media, from family, maybe from the society, from the environment that you're in. If those patterns do not serve your goals, if those patterns make you behave in a self-destructive way, then you need to kind of reconsider following them. Building different habits that suit your goals and objectives in life. Take radical responsibility for it, for yourself. Of course, we cannot control everything, but Many people don't even control things that they must control. And so this is step number 0 in everything that we do. Thank you. Leave your comments below, like this video, and subscribe to my channel.